Good morning. Glad you could join us for our Strong and Sturdy podcast. Hope you're having a great week so far. We made it through the week once again. I hope you got to serve God. Was out last night. Took one of my daughters out with me. It's always a wonderful thing when kids want to go soul winning. And always a blessing. And she wanted to come with me. So we went out for a little bit, knocked on some doors, and met Antonio. And our pastor is a avid soul winner as well. And every single day, and after I led Antonio to Christ, sweetly trusted Christ as a Savior, he told me that his daughters had done that the previous summer. So I'm glad God got us to meet up. And got to show him how to go to heaven. Now he says, now I know I'm going to heaven, and so does my daughters. And that's a wonderful thing. My friend, you ought to be a soul winner. And get out there and see somebody saved. And what a wonderful thing that will be for your spiritual life. And I'm going to bring to you a thought this morning. This hit my heartstring this morning. But Malachi chapter 1, and simply put, will he be pleased? Will he be pleased? The Bible says in verse 7 of chapter 1 of Malachi, ye offer polluted bread upon my altar, and ye say, wherein have we polluted thee? In that ye say, the table of the Lord is contemptible. And if ye offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if you offer lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee, or accept thy person? Saith the Lord of hosts. God was very direct and very clear with the children of Israel. God didn't beat around the bush. I love when God doesn't beat around the bush. I love a preacher that doesn't beat around the bush and go around and say it in a whole bunch of words. I love that God is very direct. He said, your offerings are contemptible. You bring your sick, you bring your lame to my sacrifices, and you sacrifice them. And he looks at Israel and says, and you expect me to accept that? He said, if you were to give that same offering, that same sacrifice to the governor, to the president, to the prime minister, to whoever's in charge, to even the pastor of the church you attend, you give that same offering, would he be pleased? He said, well, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you sacrificed for me. God knew, as much as the children of Israel knew, that it wasn't a sacrifice. It was, well, I got nothing else better to do with it, so I might as well give it to God. Israel said, well, I might as well give it to God since I'm going to throw it away anyway. What a horrible, what a ungodly mindset. What a mindset that lacks the respect and reverence that God deserves. Will he be pleased? There was no respect, no reverence for the God that created them. If there was, they would have given the best of the best. They would have given of, well, I don't think that would be good for God. That lamb is lame. It's got a broken leg. It's blind. Yeah, well, that's not a good one to give to God. I respect God too much to give him the lame lamb, to give him the blind sheep, to give him the broken legged animal. I respect God and reverence God way too much. No, that wasn't Israel. Israel was on the low level of the respect and reverence to God. They said, well, I don't know where we polluted it. We just had a lame lamb here. We thought, well, it's better than nothing, right? God said, no, time out. Not better than nothing. What a sad state of mind to lack respect for God. So simply this morning, and 2 points that I think will be a blessing to you. Number one, the quality of what you give to God shows the level of respect of reverence that you have for him. Again, the quality of what you give to God shows the respect and reverence you have for him. Some will say, well, it doesn't matter what I give to God. I can give anything to God. It really doesn't matter. No, it does matter. God says very clearly, it does matter. And in giving my best to God is paramount. Why? Because that shows the respect and reverence that I have for him, that you have for him. We can say one thing, but when we do another, it shows our respect and reverence for God, or lack thereof. If you wouldn't give it to the president, why in the world would you give it to God? If you wouldn't give it to the highest position in the land, why would you give it to God? And if the president came to your house, I've used this illustration many times, the president came to your house and you gave the president leftovers from a couple days ago, you say, well, I wouldn't do that. It's the president. He deserves better. He deserves a nice cooked meal that's cooked fresh that day. Exactly my point. Giving leftovers to the president is simply the same as giving leftovers to God. Why does God, the King of the universe, deserve your leftovers? Well, I'm going to throw them out anyway, so I might as well give them to God. Well, I'm going to throw out the leftovers anyway, so I might as well give them to the president. My friend, you wouldn't even think that way. And God said, will I be pleased with what you're giving me? Is God pleased with what you're giving him? Are you giving God what he deserves? Is your giving showing the respect and reverence that you have for him? Where does your respect and reverence for God sit? Let me see what you give. Let me see what you sacrifice for the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. It's not much of a sacrifice to sacrifice leftovers. And it's a sacrifice when you sacrifice the best. You say, I want to keep that, but I'm going to give it to God. That's sacrifice. It's not, well, I got nothing else to do with it, so I'll give it to God. I don't want it, so maybe God will. Well, if you don't want it, why in the world are you giving it to God? My friend, you got to understand the quality of what you give to God shows the level of respect and reverence that you have for him. You can't say you have a healthy respect for God and give him the leftovers or the product that you don't want. Well, I have some expired product here. Might as well give it to God because I'm just going to throw it away. Don't think that way, Christian. And to take the best of what you got, the good, the wonderful, the pleasing, and give it to God. You say, well, I'm going to lose what I have. I want that for myself. It's called a sacrifice. It's called giving it to God because maybe you do want it. You say, but God is more important. God, the reverence that I have for God is so much greater. The respect I have for God, the fear I have for God is so much greater. So I'm going to give my best. Even though I could use it for something, I'm going to give it to God because that's what he deserves. God is no use to you, so you can have it. That's that thought mentality. God, it's no use to you. It's no use to me, so you can have it. No, it should be, God, this is something that's dear to my heart, but I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to sacrifice it for you. Giving your best product in all areas shows what you think of God. When it comes to best product in church, is why I believe in dressing up for church. Is why I believe in tithing right off the increase that I get, whether it's from the paycheck or the gifts that I get. I give right off the top. I don't wait until I have leftovers and say, well, God, I don't have enough, but here's what I can give. I spent it all, but here's a little bit. No, I give God right off the top. Why? Because he deserves it. I dress up for church. Why? Because he deserves it. And I want to treat people nicely. Why? Because God deserves it. The best of my time, the best of my energy, the best of my life. Some people say, well, I'll serve God later in life. And right now I'm going to do what I want. That's like, God, I'll give you the leftovers of my life when I'm 67 and 80 and I can't walk all this well. My health is not the best that it could be. That's what I'll give to you. And what a sad thought, because what does that say of God? What does that say of your view of God, your respect of God? No, what God wants is your best today. And I'm glad many years ago I chose to serve God. Take the youth, take the best. Sure, could I be out making millions of dollars, going out, growing a business, going out doing the things that I want to do? Sure, I could. But what does that say of my respect for God? God says, I want to use you. And all I have to say is, sure, I'll let you use me. Number two, the quality of your of your sacrifice is lacking, God curses your blessing. Bible says in verse 13, and said also, behold, what weariness is it that ye have snuffed at it, saith the Lord of hosts, and ye have brought that which was torn, and the lame, and the sick, thus ye brought in an offering. Should I accept this of your hand, saith the Lord? Blessed, but cursed be the deceiver, which hath in his flock a male, and the Lord, a flock a male, and voweth and sacrificeth unto the Lord a corrupt thing. For I am a great king, saith the Lord of hosts, and my name is dreadful among the heathen. Chapter 2, verse 2. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart, and give the glory unto my name, saith the Lord of hosts, I, even I, will send a curse upon you. And I will curse your blessings. Yea, and have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Cursing blessings. Oh, that's a sad state. When the blessings that God gives you, it now has a curse on them because we refuse to obey. It's one thing when the best of what you got, say, all I have is a lame lamb, God, and I'm going to give that to you. It's all I got. It's another thing when you have a nice, beautiful, white, healthy lamb, God says, and you choose the corrupt one, and you give that to me. And you say, well, I can use the good lamb. I'm going to keep that for me. And God, I'm not really going to use the bad one. So here, you can have it. That is absolutely an abomination to God. Corrupt. He says, I'm going to curse your blessings because you choose the corrupt lamb to give me versus the healthy one that you clearly have. You choose to give the leftover time for me, and instead of giving me the first of the time. That's why church is in my schedule first. And nothing takes the place with church. I don't go to church when I have time. I go to church to do other things when I have time. I'll go on a vacation when I have time. I'll go to play sports when I have time. Those are the things I do when I have time. I go to church as the first. And I don't put God second place. Well, I have time for God, then I'll put him in my schedule. And no, I say God's in my schedule, and if I don't have time, it'll be for other things that are not important. Why? Because God's important. I want to make sure I don't give God the corrupt. I want to make sure I don't give God the second best. I want to make sure I don't give God, well, I'm not going to use this block of time anyway. I might as well go to church. I don't want to think that way as I'm going to church, because the respect and the reverence and the honor and the glory that God deserves, the fear that I should have for him is so much greater than anything else. And I want to make sure I keep God in his proper place. Again, number one, the quality of what you give to God shows the level of respect and reverence. And number two, when the quality of your sacrifice is lacking, God curses your blessing. My friend, I encourage you to take this to heart today. And it can penetrate your heart if you allow it to. The way God thinks, who am I trying to please? Am I trying to please my life, my friends, my acquaintances, or am I trying to please the God who lived his life, paid the price, died for me, and gave me a home in heaven? And God says, I want you to reverence me. I want you to respect me. I want you to take care of the things that I have for you to take care of. Respect for God, reverence for God, a healthy fear of God. It's all shown in the quality of the giving which we present to him. Well, I hope that's a blessing. I hope that's an encouragement. You know, the video is a little long this morning, but if I can do anything for you, let me know. Love to see you in church this weekend. And see what God has for you. Don't put it off till next week, and be where you're supposed to be. Have a great day, and God bless.